Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of Attack Productions. Today I'm Bancroft and being joined today by Jimmy, Jake, Nick, and like always, Fluff.
Howdy.
What's going on, y'all?
Hey, I'm just participating.
And I played in this game. What's up, people?
And like always, there's buttons. Feel free to click them. They're there for a reason. But today's matchup is me and Fluff. And Fluff is playing King Piccolo while I'm bringing out the Self-Control Android 21. And we both put these decks together like, I mean, I'm sure Fluff put way more thought in his deck than I did because it's just what I do. But I remember us putting together the same day. We got to the shop and I'm like, as long as I don't play Fluff, I think I'm going to do pretty good. And then this is probably the hardest matchup I had to do all day. And not because of the matchup, because of my damn hand.
I actually really worried about this matchup because I knew how defensive you could be. And King Piccolo is a deck that doesn't necessarily like going late into the game. And I tried to mitigate that a little bit with my build because our local meta is extremely defensive.
Yeah.
More so than aggro. So I wanted to kind of take advantage of that with a slight variation on King Piccolo.
Yeah. And so Fluff got to go first, so he had the energy advantage, which played in perfect with this card right here. Just giving you a combo piece, which allows you, I think, play a battle card afterwards too, because you combo with it.
So it's one activate battle, put a demon clan 3 or less from your deck into your energy, then combo with it, and then the demon clans read. If you combo with them, play them. So this gives me a tambourine onto the field, just to try to apply additional pressure for you.
Yeah.
And I haven't played King Piccolo a ton. I think I've tested it a time or two with Nick on Untap. So you'll notice I read the leader and I'm reading the cards a lot. And that's just to make sure that I'm playing everything appropriately.
This was a really annoying decision because there's two cards I wanted to go for. Eventually I chose to go with the super combo in case anyone was curious why I was just dancing there. But I love 21 because if you get the Super 17 in your hand, that's immediately the best charge target ever. Because it ignores energy exhaust with being a 21 leader. So not only am I getting my attack off, I'm getting my search off, which is pretty nice. And now if I need to combo a card off, I can. But getting to 6 life is pretty easy for me to do early on because that's when this leader awakens. And you can start kind of maximizing what this leader can do.
Yeah.
How much of your 21 lists strategy revolves around charging energy from the drop area with the awakened side leader effect?
So with this deck, and these profiles will come out later this week. They won't be out as soon as this video drops because I think Fluff wants to tweak a few things in your deck before you profile, and same thing here on my end. But I think I have 6 total cards that get ribbon energy. And then I also played the unison as well. If that's what you're referring to, right? Balancing cards, yeah.
Yeah.
I played all 4 the Android 16. Is it Machines or Mechanite? I can't remember off the top of my head which one it's called, but it's the free play by removing 1 multicolor blue-green energy and putting it into the drop area.
Yeah.
But that card is insane.
Such a good card.
I've always been such a big fan of that card, especially in like blue-green aggressive lists, because your opponent does not expect you to want to go energy negative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in the late game, but like he can catch so many surprises.
Anytime you can play something for free in this game, it's huge.
And typically, that would be one of my last plays I would do as well in the turn.
Mm-hmm.
What I've learned this deck as well is that you've got to be careful with your timing because, like with Zeno, if you use the +2 and charge the energy, you can no longer cycle energy back to your field using the leader's effect. So you have to make sure you use that first before doing the +2 and then ramping yourself up if you're going to take that route. Now keep in mind, you don't actually have to give yourself an energy. You just go +2, not activating the effect. But with that as well, though, I just lost train of thought. Sorry, I had to adjust my headphones, and I just lost what I was going to say. Fluff, talk more about Piccolo real quick. Why regain my thought process on that?
I just wanted to say here, putting the Zeno on the field made me extremely anxious during this match, and then you throw out the Android 16, which is just going to provide additional pressure. I got lucky that you didn't have the blocker that free plays off of that being played as well.
Yeah.
So I got kind of lucky in that respect, and I know moving into my next turn that I have to just pressure your unison, or I'm going to be subject to counterplay after counterplay after counterplay. So I really have to try to put on some of that pressure here. And you'll see I make a couple weird choices. And this deck was really frustrating because I didn't want you to be able to blow my field up and rip my momentum out, but I also didn't want you to be able to counterplay incoming swings.
Yeah.
So
Fluff, quick question with King Piccolo.
Yeah.
You're talking about the counterplay scenario being a big problem. How are board wipes specifically? Because King Piccolo can regenerate its resources pretty great, but if someone's consistently doing that type of removal, how does that hurt King Piccolo?
You know, a lot of King Piccolo's advantage comes from the setup in the life. So it really depends on what is in your life and if you have a unison active. Like if you lose a tambourine, you lose a King Piccolo, you lose a piano. Piano can revive himself, so that's not too much of a problem. But the King Piccolos, unless you just have them sticking around in your hand, you actually have to repay the energy to put those guys back out on the field, which opens more counterplay windows. So I really do feel like board removal is pretty strong against King Piccolo, because otherwise it's just a leader swinging and then playing out a battle card. But if you can consistently remove the battle cards and keep them off of everything, then you're fine. And you see here, I pay the 1 to play the Piccolo to force the counterplay. I'm now free to go on ahead and move forward with the rest of my turn without worrying about a counterplay.
Yeah. And
now that I've baited that 1.
And I think I forgot on how you awakened. You just drew 3 cards. Sorry, you already awakened. You already flipped over.
Yeah.
I did the counterplay as a way of just like, look, just tap the extra energy, you know? Hopefully you tap down for enough down, and it gives me a better way of pushing my next turn.
Yeah.
And we didn't mention it when it happened, but you countered with the Heroic Prospect Trunks. And something that's been kind of a talking point at our locals recently is how I don't want to say undervalued.
It's underwhelmed.
But it's underperformed at our locals due to the spread of decks that we play, where we tend to play a lot more low-flying low decks that are playing cards on tempo instead of these the decks that are more popular in the meta scene, like Dark Broly, Red Broly, where you're playing these big body battle cards that are high energy cost very early in the game.
There were probably 2 potential matchups I could have had at the shop. I didn't play against the Broly player. We did have a Red Broly, and I didn't play against him. But I did play against one of the newer guys who brought his Vegeta Cataplesia deck.
Yes.
I did not see it against him, though, but I did Heroic Lineage his 5-drop, which kind of stopped him anyways. But that would have came in handy if I could have gotten that as well.
Yep.
Coincidentally, sorry, go ahead, Jimmy.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, coincidentally, I feel like this is kind of relevant. The Red Broly player did very well this week as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's not due to the lack of cards of heroic prospects at our shop. Everybody that plays blue has at least 2 to 3 in their list. So it's not that it's not showing up at our shop. It's just that it tends to underperform in our matchups. So I think you will not hear any of us have very high praise of the card as you would in other decks where people say, "Oh, this was the MVP of the entire night. He put in so much work."
Our meta is very diverse all the time. Like it's really hard to plan for what we do because almost every weekend, someone plays something different. Unless someone's really wanting to learn something, then most of the time it's hard.
And Heroic Prospect is that card in blue that I equate a lot to Sensu Bean. It's not relevant in every match, but it's one of those pieces that if it's really good in a match, you want to have it. It's not good in every match, but if it's not relevant, then they just become easy charge targets.
So I want to go over this turn real quick because we kind of blew past it. I didn't focus on attacking your leader because I knew I couldn't kill you that turn, so my intention was just clear your board as much as possible. And this is what I was talking about in timing for this particular deck. I swung up every battle card first before I made any form of plays afterwards. Then I paid 2 energy for the activate main on the Android 17, which plays itself and you take a life for it as well. And its secondary main is another card that allows you to cycle your energy for 2 drop area. So you place the energy in your drop area, KO one of your opponent's battle cards, and that procs the leader as effect. And that's how I got rid of Fluff's 4-drop Piccolo.
This turn almost tilted me because I'm sitting on a very low number of cards in my hand because of how aggressively I went in to try to get your Zeno off the field the last turn. But the big thing that is kind of eating me right now is my life is at 5. So I think I have 5 cards in my hand, and 3 of the 5 cards are super combos.
I mean, hey, I had all 4 of my counterplay cards in my hand by this turn, so I mean, I'm there with you, man. You just got rid of my you got rid of my Unison.
But where you're not taking my life by swinging at battle cards, I'm now in a position where I have to consider how I want to do this. And I think one of the things that I could have done here is swing with the tambourine. I could have used Symbol to bump up the Unison to 3 and then activate the -3 on the Unison, kill the tambourine, and clear your field.
-2.
And that, yeah, -2, sorry. That is just not a line of play that I saw when I was doing this turn. That Android 17 has me tilted from the aspect of, like, I know I'm just going to turn after turn lose a lot of cards, and you'll see I actually spend one of the more valuable resources in my deck to try to get it off your field, because that card is just problematic. And kind of back to what Nick brought up earlier, how is board disruption against King Piccolo? And it's really hard to work through. You know, if you lose your cymbals, your tambourines, you're losing your drums. I don't have a King Piccolo on field anymore, so I can't bump up the tambourine.
Yeah, especially that ignoring barrier aspect.
Yeah.
Because you're a very defensive player, and the more late the game gets, the easier it is for the opponent to play something that ignores barrier. So it's kind of a tightrope that you're walking.
Yeah. And I do run this deck a little more defensively than I think like a traditional King Piccolo or like the meta King Piccolo deck would be ran. Like, my list is very similar to what I've seen of like Justin Rios' list, but I did make defensive choices. Like, I decided to take the Piccolos out, but I added in the Merciless Barrage Yamchas. I added in Wolfang Fists.
And Jake, there's the Roshi for you, man. I threw one in there in the deck.
Excellent. This is my favorite card to use with the Android 21 leader.
I know there's
Sorry, go ahead.
I was saying, I know there's a glare, but I did put down Bad Omen. So, continue, though.
Yeah. It allows you to load your energy area with Bad Omens and pick up cards that you don't want in your energy area that get charged off of your other androids' effects. I know we haven't seen them this game, but some Android 21 players will play the 2-drop 16 that charges the top card of your deck, or the 4-drop 21 that does the same thing and KOs a battle card. Mm-hmm. And the Roshi, I forget his name, from set 8 is an incredible card to include if you have those cards in your list.
All right.
And that Heroine's Lineage is just
that
disgusting.
pissed me off. So right there, I swung with leader, activate battle, and just took it back because I was hanging on to mine since turn 1. I'm like, he's gonna play the 4-drop Piccolo or something like that. I'm gonna just snag it from him. And he steals my card. I'm like, no, I need this card.
Yeah, I did not want you to have that card with the ability to just pop. I considered counterplaying there just to kind of neg out the 17 and the 18. And you would have got the effect of her either way. So there was no point in really wasting that energy or wasting that resource.
Well, keep in mind, you wouldn't be able to hit the 18 because of the counter. And we're about to actually have a misplay in a second.
Yeah.
Where I didn't catch at the time. I thought about after the match. I was like, oh, yeah, you couldn't hit the card being played because Yamcha gets played first.
Well, you played him by skill.
Yeah, so they would open up 2 counter windows.
So I would hit him on counter window 2.
It is an active mana. I forgot about that.
I could hit him then.
Yeah, sorry. I forgot it's an active mana that plays that. That's right. Never mind. We played that right.
Yeah. I thought that you were talking about you had tapped energy for a battle card and played a battle card that way. In which case I would have missed, but that was counter timing too.
Yeah, that's fine. The reason why I chose to go that route instead of activating 17's effect was because I needed to clear board as much as possible. And I'm trying to get rid of Unison as well in the process. And that's why I went ahead and swung with the 18 and super comboed it up and add that little extra hit to it as well. Because I didn't want you using the counterplay against me, or the auto, which gets rid of a card when your opponent counterplays. And then that -2 is still a very deadly thing.
Yeah, that -2 is such a good way to control the field and punish overextension on the opponent's behalf.
And the mindset for me right now, like I said, it's not really affecting your life. It's just trying to get you to get rid of as much resources as possible. Try to thin your board down so when I'm able to go for the kill, I can get that off.
I was absolutely sorry. I was absolutely frustrated and irritated during this match because my hand is just unhelpful because I'm sitting on 3 super combos, but you're keeping me at 5 life. So I can't move through my deck. I can't find things that I want to be able to use. And I don't need 5 energy in this deck. I can't think of a single period that I would want 5 energy in this deck, but I continue to charge. And that's part of being frustrated and a little tilted in this match, where I'm trying to figure out how this deck wants to play and how I need to best play against you. And you're just creating so many issues and barriers for me to get through. Like, I'm literally playing through counterplays, I'm playing through negates, I'm playing through your super combos. You've got the Android 18 on the field, which is activate battle, sending cards back to my hand. And it's just completely disruptive to my overall strategy. And this was the hardest game for me to try to find a window to close the game out on. And you're only at 1 life, but my hand is in my 5-card hand, I'm sitting on 3 super combos. And I can't do anything with them.
So, I will say, even though if I'm correct, I didn't see a single Dimension Magic this whole game, which really hurts. But as, like you mentioned, I'm able to just keep that defensive barrier there. And since I pulled the 18 back to my hand, I'm able to replay her and use her again as another way of activating battle, which is here it goes right now. And I just said, bounce it back.
Yeah. Which is so absolutely frustrating. I'm trying to just still, get the game in. I don't feel in danger of losing this game, but I'm definitely feeling the frustration of being able to close it out.
Yeah.
Which I know how blue decks can play. And I was there when you built this deck. I know what this deck can do in the late games. And I just don't want you being able to be at a point where you can tap 5 energy for a Zeno, clear my field, I lose every bit of momentum I've got, and then you basically take control of the game.
And I will say, that was a huge mistake on my part, swinging at your leader. I wasn't planning on doing that, but I called it, And after it went through, I was like, oh no, what have I done? Oh no.
I was so thankful. I was like, good God Almighty, I can actually win the game now.
Yeah. So I paid 2 for the draw 2 card. Give your 1-drop. I forget that you could just replay it, use the effect, which is fine. I got the like I said, the 2 draws out of it. Just trying to find a damn Dimension Magic. Something that at least helped me prolong this game until my next turn. And I didn't see it. So I'm like, okay, next best option. Play Zeno plus 2. I got another I got another counterplay in my hand. Maybe I could just benefit off that somehow, you know?
And again, another Android 15 or 16, sorry. He seems like he puts in so much work in this game. And here, I'm not comboing out of necessity. I'm comboing to try to shore up the quality of the cards in my hand.
It's very rare in this game that you would get flooded with something like super combos that are such a valuable resource and can pivot a game. That it's odd to hear someone say, my hand was flooded with super combos and it was a bad thing.
Yeah, it's actually really weird. I played those super combos in this deck because I was like, I know how little the deck can draw. Having the quality with this deck, with the life recycling, is going to be really nice. So I'm going to play the Raditz. We're going to go from there. But I think that moving forward, I'm considering dropping the Raditz and playing the Kami, or I'm sorry, the Roshi that requires 5 or less life. Because in most games, I sat at around 5 life.
Mm-hmm.
Until my opponent decided to try to push for game, and then I could actually use my super combos. But I think in every game this week, utilizing super combos like that, they just sat in my hand until basically my opponent decided to take me down.
And
when I feel like another super combo type, sorry, and then I'll let you finish, but another super combo type would have allowed me to pressure the game much faster than those Raditz.
I was going to say, that Unison's ability to, when your opponent plays a counter, pop a card, and there's no limit to that. Like, that was a counterplay blocker for 1 energy, and I lost it, you know? And I didn't realize that I did see 1 Dimension Magic, which was nice.
Yeah, though, that Unison is actually really fantastic. Every ability on that Unison is really good. It's auto. When your opponent activates a counter, if they lose a card, is incredible.
Yeah.
And then his +1 is draw 1, and then his -2 is so crazy in this matchup. So really here, I'm just pushing as much as I can. I know that I've got you on the ropes, but I also know that there's stuff like that. You know, you could have had another 18 in hand, which would have sent a card back.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to finish it out while maintaining some resource balance in my hand, just in case you pull something cheeky.
So quickly before we wrap up, Fluff, after playing King Piccolo, I want to talk about strategy for playing against it for just a moment.
Yeah, sure.
So we've seen Bancroft set on the strategy of keeping you at a higher life total until he wants to go for game, which is kind of an Android 21 strategy for pretty much every matchup.
Yep.
Because they want to drop the bad omen spread and wipe the board with the Hell's Ultimate Weapon. But I've always took the idea of blitz down and aggro down King Piccolo so that he has less life slots to work with. Where, of course, you can fix the quality of cards, but it gives less options and it makes it a little bit more risky on what you choose to put in your life versus what you don't put in your life. So, after playing King Piccolo, which would you think would be the better strategy? Which would be the worst for you?
Definitely the one that was most frustrating for me was because I feel like if you're at 2 life with King Piccolo, you can completely play that game.
Mm-hmm,
most of the time when I was swinging with the leader and I had the ability to put 3 cards into my life and pick up to 3, I was only adding 1 and then taking 1 card from life. So your hand, theoretically, you want your hand to be cycling. Basically, you want the Demon Clan resources in your hand to go into your life, and then those go to your field at that point. Turn to turn using the combo skill. Letting the King Piccolo player get below the point that they can start using their super combos is really how they move resources through their deck. That plus piano plus the unison. Those are really how they find and move resources through their deck. So keeping the piano off the field, getting rid of the unison, and then denying access to their super combos if you know they're playing Raditz.
Yeah.
Keep them at 5 life. Yeah, they could have 5 open. They could have 5 cards in their life and they're awakened. They've got 5 cards face up that they can constantly use for combos. But unless they're running some type of self-awakener, which most King Piccolo decks that I've seen are running like after image techniques, maybe. But other than that, they're not really running self-awakeners. That, to me, is more damning than trying to Zerg them down. Now, if your deck is designed to Zerg down really fast, then by all means, Zerg them down. Because they only get to use their combo from the life once per turn.
Of course.
So if you can outpace that, and they don't have like Attack of the Demon Clans in hand, you can outpace them and just outvalue them in those early stages, then that's one way too. But I really think it like Bancroft played that game completely correctly. He kept me at 5 life. He made a mistake and swung at leader. Had he been like, yeah, sorry, I meant to say battle card, I would have let him take that back, and that might have changed the trajectory in that game, because that is really how he beats me, is he just keeps my hand as low as possible.
So, with that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Like always, there's buttons. Feel free to click them. They're there for a reason. And with that being said, Jake, last words?
If you want to win, you have to practice. And if you don't have time to practice, check out more videos here on Attack On Productions. We're posting new content all the time.
Nick?
Yeah, every time Jake says that outro, he gets a quarter. So he's made a lot of money off that.
$6.
Jimmy?
But Jake's getting paid?
No.
In Scooby bucks.
Oh.
Simply call them
Bancroft, I want to renegotiate my contract.
Fluff, would you lead us out?
Jimmy may not renegotiate his contract unless that contract is for like a mixed bag of nuts, like
Deal.
like walnuts, almonds, dejected hand jobs. As always, read your cards, know your plays, let us make mistakes like you don't have to, and fluff out.